Good evening to viewers of Bomakapa, listeners of Ngqubela. Once again, welcome to our program as Amaqhawe Ethu Foundation. We welcome you today in a different program. My name is Yongamela Manene. I'm hosting no one except myself. The reason for this program is simply because it is always asked, who are we? What Amaqhawe are about? What are we doing? We're here today to answer those questions and give you a proper understanding about Amaqhawe. Amaqhawe Ethu is an NPO, non-profit organization registered with NPO 238373. It is based in OR Tambo offices, ezaziphaya eZwide, landawo in a post office, next to the church, next to the old apostolic church. When you're using public transport, we normally say Uhlakwalamani. That's where we are having our operational offices, and they are run by volunteers on ad hoc basis as by availability. Why are we in this slot? Why are we doing what we are doing? Well, we are a liberation heritage organization. Singumbutho ofuna okokubana kujongwe imbali yomzabalazo njengezinye zezinto ezibalulekileyo. We always have the four-track heritage. We always have the 1820 settlers heritage. But one thing that gets to not to be recognized in South Africa is the liberation heritage. That's the space we are in, trying to ensure that the liberation heritage is also registered and acknowledged in our spheres. That's where Amaqhawe Ethu feature, that's where Amaqhawe Ethu are practitioners on, and that's where we wish to grow in order to ensure that the liberation heritage is taken seriously. The liberation heritage is also being recognized in all spheres of our South African heritage. For an example, we always celebrate June 16. But in celebrating June 16, the most thing that gets acknowledged is the Soweto uprisings, not taking into consideration that all the other areas were also involved in that particular. You had the falling of Nomvume in Mendi bottle store. You had many other aspects that are also heritage related, but mostly we only concentrate on the Johannesburg aspect of the June 16, which makes it a serious problem for them. Our heritage, because it is not totally disclosed or it is highly distorted. That's what Amaqhawe Ethu seeks to recognize, seeks to talk about, seeks to bring in the front of our heritage. Secondly, mostly when we talk about heritage, we will speak about one particular organization as if no other organization existed in the fight for this liberation. Our role is to seek to ensure that all liberation organizations are recognized, that fought for this liberation, that were there in the forefront of fighting, where they are heroes, have also died in the same manner that others died, where they were experienced the incarceration, the torture, and many other aspects that were experienced by all liberation fighters of South Africa. That's what we are seeking to bring about. Another aspect is to bring about the struggle heritage. That does not only start in the armed struggle element, but the frontier wars that were fought, the many other small battles that were fought against oppression of the people, in particular the African and black masses. That's what we are bringing forward. So, Amaqhawe Ethu, we are all about that, and wish that we get to be recognized in that sphere. We are not a money-generating organization. As I said, why am I bringing this up? In all the activities that we host, there's an element of people thinking that we have funds to give and share. What we seek to do is to put people in the right channels where they will be able to be reimbursed if there is any reimbursement, or they will have recognition if there is any available sponsors in that regard. For an example, there are families that we helped in sourcing some form of assistance. These families, one of these families, their son was killed in 1987 in exile in Zambia. They don't know where his body was buried. It is said that it was an accident, a car accident that happened. The mother of this fallen hero is staying with her abazukulwana that are not working and that are not earning anything. We tried, because in the name of a fallen hero, we tried to source some form of assistance where we managed to get some more walking aid, like your wheelchair, and well as some form of sponsors to give this family some groceries, because they are all surviving in the grant that is given by government. So that's the type of help we are doing. We are also trying to assist where we can to get these families some form of closure into knowing where their son was buried, what are the chances of getting his body buried here in South Africa. If there is no chance about that or no opportunity to do that, we get some form of an alternative in terms of recognizing this fallen hero. That's one of our activities that we try, because we seek to recognize the unsung heroes of our liberation, those that are not known to many, those that are not sang about in the podiums, those that are not shouted in the rallies. One other element is to try and make some form of recognition to all the organizations. For an example, one of the activities that we've had previously, which was brought up, was a recognizing of a one of the major sons of the soil, someone who in his young age was killed in the line of his battle. I'm speaking of an Azapo member named Peipa Ngale, who, due to his love for liberation at the very young age, got involved in the struggle. This hero, he went to fight for people's liberation under the banner of Azapo and grew to become a provincial in today's term, secretary of Azapo. Due to the then apartheid-driven black-on-black violence, he became a victim. But one of the things that we have managed with the help of the Azapo and the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, we have recognized this hero, and his name appears amongst the heroes. His body will be buried amongst the heroes of the struggle in our Heroes Acre as a hero, irrespective of what happened then, irrespective of the perpetrators of his falling, he has emerged as a hero at the end of the day. So these are minor activities that we are doing in order to recognize our people. Last but not the least, I can mention another proud moment and the flag of our Ethu, where we have written and made submission to the president about unsung heroes that we find in our neighborhood. For an example, the recognition of Obawo Douglas Chuchu, who has served 2 terms in Robben Island and is a usisisele senyathi to be used by generations, and he still lives amongst ourselves. This hero, we managed to get him to be recognized by the president and receive an award for his struggle for the liberation, because he has played a big role in ensuring that people are mobilized against apartheid and people they do go in exile with good and protected roots. But that is not known, and due to our efforts, we have managed to get him to be recognized. These are the type of things that we are doing. From here, where do we go? We have this program that you are watching, and we appreciate that you watch it always. In this program, what we seek is to restore the elements of our previous heroes and heroines. The elements of Ubuntu, living ethical life. Our lectures are around about leadership, ethical leadership. How do we make our homes and our neighborhoods viable economic hubs, if I may call, through gardening projects, through cleaning, through planting and putting up some green elements, through mostly making sure that we live in safe areas, non-violent, and many other aspects that we seek to bring up in our lectures. How to build better communities where people are able to live without fear of violence, without fear of intimidation, by others, trying to rid off gangsterism, like the program we had in northern areas with the help of Martin, who is an activist in the northern areas that is fighting gender-based violence as well as gangsterism, and ensuring that we take away the vandalism of our heritage sites. And for an example, the outcry about the hall in Motherwell, named after one of our heroes, Usphiwe Mthimkhulu. Those are other activities that we are doing. So we are trying our level best in these lectures to ensure that we bring people knowledgeable about our heritage, knowledgeable about the subject as mentioned in terms of ethical leadership, in terms of how do we develop and make Nelson Mandela Bay a productive and a viable space for business, for tourism, for industry, etc., etc. Another activity which maybe you have seen in our previous program of last week is about the healing of all the wounds that we have suffered since 1984 until around about 1994, where there was burning of properties, killing of people, damaging of properties. And we had people that were affected, whether they be victims or be perpetrators of all these forms of violence. As Amanqawe A2, in conjunction with Institute of Healing of Memories, we're going to be having some workshops where we invite all victims of violence, perpetrators, into a dialogue to talk about these wounds that we have experienced. If I may quote Father Lapsi, he always says that we are a wounded nation. But in order to be truly liberated, we need to heal those wounds. There is going to be some workshops around that, which will take a form of ±5 years program, where victims of violence, perpetrators of violence, and many other people that were involved in these things, including current experiences, we're going to be having these workshops. So we are appealing that you watch the space, as announcements will be coming towards the end of March. Between the 28th until the 31st, we're going to be having those activities in the midst of the Nelson Mandela Bay. We invite those individuals to come forward and share their experiences with us. Secondly, there are other initiatives that we wish that they become annualized. One of them is awards to be given to outstanding citizens of this part of the country, recognizing them for their efforts in liberation struggle, their efforts in economical growth of our space, in their leadership abilities. These activities, we want them to be held on annual basis so that we may recognize them of the efforts as the time goes on. As I said, we start with the liberation. Our elders, like Omama Utipua Kondile, Omama Ucina, Omama Mankahla, who have been serving with Winnie Mandela in one of the major trials. But that does not get mentioned, and we always go and throw these accolades to people that are not living in our midst. So that's another activity. We wish to have some form of liberation-driven cultural activities, sports, and others that are going to be also recognizing these things. For an example, people tend to use Toy Toy as a form of protest and start banning the streets. But Toy Toy was a form of pushing the soldiers because they had nothing to rely on. Toy Toy was used as a form to drum them up for the liberation fight. We need to restore that order and bring our people into understanding why do we have Toy Toy in our midst. And if it comes to the push, let us have activities that are recognizing those events and talents, because Toy Toy is another form of art. It is another form of, like your choral music and gospel music. We need those to be recognized. One other element that we are doing is in conjunction, for an example, with Bomakapa TV, we have these programs that are going. That is the partnerships that we're having. We have partnerships with Bay World, for an example. If you go to Bay World in the museum part section, you'll only see a certain element of our heritage that only looks at the arrival of the British settlers, that only talks about all the western side of the city elements. But nothing gets to be recognized that there are people in our midst that have been fighting the liberations, where we can see their name hung in those walls of our museum, so that generations can see that this is what was happening. This is what happened, that today we are a liberated and a free country. So those are the kind of other activities. We are also having partnerships with Nelson Mandela University through their corporate faculty, where we seek to have our heroes giving lectures and sharing their experiences with the current generation in order to keep this liberation heritage alive with the students. And we wish to have people that have stories to tell, to share about liberation heritage, to come forward so that these activities are recorded academically and kept in proper archives, so that at the end of the day, even if we have moved on, there is history recorded through the Nelson Mandela University. Those are one of the activities. In the Nelson Mandela University, we also have brought up, with the help of SANGOCO, South African National Non-Profit Organization Coalition, to have recognition of these heroes that I was mentioning, especially Aboma Mautsina. We wish that buildings can be named after them and be given proper biographies of these individuals, so that students can see what are we talking about, who are they, and what happened. Another activity, with the help of the Nelson Mandela Heritage Division is to have liberation routes in our areas. For an example, if people that were around in the 80s, they will know that Denqeqe, which is currently debilitated state, needs to be recognized as a place of liberation education, where people used to get umkhabulo. People will travel from Kleinskwold to come to Denqeqe and understand what is actually happening. People will be traveling from all over. For an example, our emeritus Bishop Tutu was one of the people that came and addressed the people in Denqeqe Stadium. That site holds a very, very important historical. When it was built by the people, for the people. And that's the type of heritage that we need to bring forward. That Denqeqe needs to be recognized nationally, even if it goes to international level. But Denqeqe Stadium needs to be brought up, because Zwide Stadium could not be used due to the then apartheid laws. And people went to build Denqeqe. When some of the heroes will talk about it, they will tell you that they were using zincs. Kwaru was there in the forefront using zincs to build that stadium. And after finishing building that stadium, they were playing the same stadium that they built themselves as players of Ikwaru. Those are kind of things that we need to recognize as heritage roots, so that people can see what was happening in actuality than to read them from the books. A route from a Centenary Hall to Zwide Cemetery, people were running on foot, toying, as I've mentioned earlier, in order to go and bury their loved ones who were killed by shooting and other means. Those are the roots that we need to be recognized. On understanding and accepting the role played by many others in this liberation. For an example, we have heroes that are in Papendale Cemetery. Those heroes need to be recognized, that were involved in the uprising of the northern areas around the 90s. Those are kind of activities that we seek to bring forward, that this part of the world has played its role properly and effectively. That cannot be omitted in the history books of this liberation struggle. One of the activities that we do, and we wish to get support, is to visit all these heroes. And we are proud to say that we always get appreciation from those people that we visit in their homes. For example, the late Mahmoud Dedrick. We went to her home, Lillian Dedrick, to pay her a visit, to show that Amaqhawe to appreciate the role that she has played in the struggle while she was alive. Oba Silas Nganunu, we have visited them to share our appreciation for the role that they have played in the liberation struggle. And they were received with warm hands and being thanked for the role that they play. Omama Dr. Nxiweni, whom we have also recognized, to go to an extent of recognizing the likes of Omama Molly Blackburn for the role that they've played in this liberation struggle. And it's across all areas of this beautiful city of ours. We wish then to say that please support our liberation heritage. Please bring up more ideas to us as to how do we celebrate. Because this liberation heritage is not about Amaqhawe Ethu only, it's about everybody that participated in the liberation struggle. It becomes a sore point when you see youngsters asking the questions, what were you fighting for? What have you gained out of this liberation? We were not fighting to be fat cats. We were fighting to be free. We were not fighting to sit around enjoying crass materialism, but we were fighting so that our dignity as people is recognized. It is in our hands to make this liberation effective. It is in our hands to make this liberation accepted as one of those proper activities that we're engaged on without expecting anything but to see the people being free. Liberation was not fought only for the oppressed, as leaders would claim, but it was fought also for the oppressors, so that themselves they see that what they are doing is not right to humanity, so that they can see what they did was totally unacceptable in the face of humanity. So as Amaqhawe Ethu Foundation, we appreciate the support that we are receiving from many aspects. We wish to thank you for watching our program regularly. We wish to thank Mpuma Kapa TV for the support that they are giving us this platform. We thank the management, we thank the staff, we thank also our presenters that would come forward and give us this wealth of information. We also wish that the viewers, the listeners, can also make this history enlarged and stretch on it by listening and acting on how do we make liberation heritage important like any other, and also ensuring that we preserve our areas that celebrates this liberation heritage. Take it to our schools, improve our schools where we are staying, because currently they become dump areas. We have schools that were used as our liberation institution of education. If I can mention the likes of your Cowan High School, the likes of your Pakamis High School in Zweden, Zondelelo, and many others in other areas where teachers chose not to give Bantu education any recognition, but offer education for liberation. Thank you very much for listening. We wish that you take all these matters into heart and start acting accordingly. Amaqhawe Ethu appreciate your role, as I've said earlier, and we wish that we can build this relationship going forward in recognition of liberation heritage. We recognize all liberation efforts, be it in sport, be it in religion, be it in organizationally, as we know that our liberation was fought by ANC, AZAPO, and BAC, and many other formations in terms of the MDM, Mass Democratic Movement. We wish to appreciate all those as Amaqhawe Ethu, and we welcome you once again in our programs. We're going to be following with many programs coming up this year, and keep on watching. My name is Yongamela Manene. On behalf of Amaqhawe Ethu, thank you very much for watching. Thank you.
Welcome, dear viewers of Bay Television and the listeners of Nubela Radio, in our special broadcast that is facilitated in collaboration with Amaqhawe Ethu Foundation. Yes, tonight I've decided to wear my combat because the broadcast we're about to transmit is dedicated to one of the icons of our revolution, one of the first commanders of Umkhonto weSizwe, Tatu Vuyisile Mini. Tate Vuyisile Mini was executed by the apartheid South Africa in 1964, here in Pretoria. Tonight's broadcast seeks to take you back and retrace the footsteps of these gallant fighters of our revolution, Tatu Vuyisile Mini. As we are talking and recording this broadcast tonight, people of South Africa and the family members are repatriating the remains of Tatu Vuyisile Mini from Emloteni, a place where his first orientation started in Port Elizabeth. Emloteni was the place where African National Congress used to converge and interact with the people of South Africa and of Port Elizabeth in particular. Today, the family members, and we understand as the people of Port Elizabeth, that we still have some of the icons at Emloteni. At least the people of Tsomo, where the remains of Tatu Vuyisile Mini are going to be laid to rest. The people of that area will embrace the remains of this icon and remain there as a constant reminder where we come from, where we are, and where we need to be as a nation. Of course, these programs seek to do just that. In honor of Tatu Mini, tonight, we are honored to host Comrade Jabu. Jabu himself, just like Tatu Vuyisile Mini, was sentenced to death. And Jabu tells us he was looking forward to those 52 final stairs that Tatu Mini was confronted with. And naturally, apartheid South Africa thought they were breaking Tatu Mini, and the history proved the opposite. Today, we talk of hundreds and hundreds of Tatu Mini. The evidence of that is tonight's program. Jabu was ready to face those 52 stairs and face the hangman belly straight into the eyes and say, just like Tatu Mini, just like Solomon Mahlangu, just like Andrew Zondo, and many more, we do not regret about the steps we have decided to undertake to liberate South Africa. Yes, indeed. My name is Lennox Vanki Mzekolo Class saying, enjoy the program that Jabu is going to try and deliver to us, as he's going to tell us where it started for him, how he landed at the gallows, and how we are able to discuss with him tonight. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.
My name is Jabu Obed Masina. I was born in Western Native Township. It's a town next to Sophiatown. I went to exile immediately after June 16, 1976. I went to exile because I really wanted to fight the system of apartheid. This system of apartheid didn't give us a chance to do anything. So I went to exile 1977, whereby I was recruited by Vincent Selanto. So when I was in exile, I was taken to Angola for a crash course. A crash course is just a short course which lasts about 3 to 4 months, whereby they taught me how to use a firearm. Thereafter, I was briefed to go and ice a certain member of the police who was defending apartheid by the name of Offenchapi Shubi. So the mission was very much successful. And then after I've iced Shubi, I had to go back to Angola, whereby I had to go and give a report to my leaders. After giving a report back, I was taken to Malanje. Malanje is an ANC camp where they specialize with Morse code. That's where I met Chris Hani.
I'm one of the people who have seen comrades dying, both inside the country and outside the country, in the struggle against the regime of terror in Pretoria. I know the names, I know the faces. I know how these young people put aside everything in life to concentrate in the fight against white domination.
Chris Hani was surprised to see me there. He said he was been looking for me. He wanted me to revive the icing unit. He told me to go and look for people whom I'll work with. So I recruited Ting Masango, Neo Potsane, Joseph Makura. So after recruiting those guys, we established the icing unit, whereby we had to go through Botswana to infiltrate inside South Africa.
There's a certain form of attachment that South Africans have for this country. I'm speaking about those with whom we shared times in exile. I'm speaking about the excitement I sensed in MK cadres coming back into the country even before I came back legally. How they felt good about going back to South Africa, though they were going back to fight. That's the sort of love and patriotic fervor that we had.
Yes, we managed to infiltrate into South Africa through Botswana. It was myself, Ting Masango, Neo Potsane, and Joseph Makura. We did several operations, but there's this one which I would like to talk about, the icing of Brigadier Molope. Molope was working under the Bophuthatswana government, which was headed by Mangope. Brigadier Molope gave instructions that people should be shot down, people who were demonstrating against RANDS. Now, 11 people died on that particular day. So we saw that Molope was the enemy of the people. So once you are the enemy of the people, then you must know that you are the enemy of the ANC.
We have been subjected to a cruelty no other people, or very few people in the world have seen. But the brave, proud black South Africans, who with their hands, with limited resources, have refused to surrender. Nothing would stop us from marching forward to freedom, to a new South Africa, into a free country, into a country where they would fight for social justice, in a country where we would begin to tackle the problems of the poverty of our people. And for me, therefore, this was not marching back home, but marching along the path of struggle to a liberated country.
Yeah, we did several other operations, but eventually we got arrested, and our trial didn't last that long because we refused to participate into a civilian court. We demanded prisoners of war status, although we knew that South Africa was not a signatory to these Geneva Convention things. But nonetheless, we decided that we cannot give our enemy a clean face at hanging us. We refused to participate in all the court procedures and demanded those prisoners of war status. After our trial, which was known as the Delmas 4, we were sentenced to death. Fortunately, we never came to that. There was this release of Mandela.
I was actually touched when I walked those 52 steps to and fro, and I thought of my comrades and my friends who went there only once and never came back.
Let me share with you our lives in the death row, in the gallows. People, that place is very, very much bad. It's so painful because you don't know when you are going to die. And there's nothing painful like that. I mean, everybody knows that he's going to die at the end of the day. But it's painful to know that you're going to die on this particular day. I, for one, I had children which I've never seen, which were born whilst we were still underground in South Africa, whilst we were still fighting the Boers. Every day I think of those children that I would like to see them, and in death row they are not allowed to come and see us. And when we ask, why don't you allow our children to come and see us, they will tell us that no, it's because of they don't want the children to be traumatized. In conclusion, people, you can see what's happening at the Zondo Commission. I don't think people like O.R. Tambo, if they were still alive, these things would be happening, because they were very honest leaders who were fighting a just cause for the people of South Africa.
The ANC must continue to make sure that our revolutionary struggle is revolutionary in every respect and obeys the rules of any revolution, follows definite defined rules. A revolutionary behaves in a certain kind of way and is distinguished and distinguishable from the criminal, from the vigilante, from the enemy agent.
For many decades, this space earned itself in our country the infamy of being known as South Africa's dead factory. We are from the factory. Frankly speaking, these were innocent people who were fighting for their freedom, who were fighting for their rights. But this was a strategy by the then regime to defend and keep that evil system alive. This commemoration today is an honor. These are leaders who propelled this country forward towards a new democratic dispensation. We pay tribute to all those who were tortured, who sustained injuries, and eventually died from those injuries. This will serve as a reminder to all of us that this must not happen again. We who are still alive today must jealously guard this freedom. We must not go back. No matter the conditions that we may confront as we move ahead, never then would give ourselves the authority to terminate life. We're inspired by these combatants. They went ahead, bravely, with their heads high. They weren't singing to their death. They knew that this would end. So it's upon us who are remaining behind to be true to this revolution. Because this revolution was not for free. People sacrificed what is dear to them, life.
Today's program was dedicated to Utata Uvuyisile Neni and his colleagues, who happened to be a commander of Umkhonto Wesizwe. He was among the first people who were hanged by the hangman's nose. People like Abo Solomon Mahlangu, Ubomkhwerane, Andrew Zondo, and many others. I thank you.
Dear viewers of Bay TV and the listeners of Nqubela FM, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Tune in again next week, Wednesday, when we bring you a similar program brought to you by these partners. We want to repeat, so many people in South Africa right now, as evident by what is happening in the Zondo Commission, believe that this freedom was given to us by the apartheid South Africa. No, as you have heard, so many people died for this freedom. Not only in South Africa, go to the people in Botswana, go to the people in Maseru, go to the people in Angola and Mozambique. They will tell you tales about how they lost their family members because of apartheid South Africa. For now, it's good night.